Less than a month after they came into force, there are reports that the Western Australian government has backed down from its controversial Aboriginal heritage laws. It's the triumph of some common sense at last. This law required cultural surveys for digging a hole more than 50 centimetres deep or lifting more than 20 kilograms of dirt. It meant huge expense and red tape for something as simple as mending fences on a farm, planting trees or clearing tracks. It meant councils were facing demands for $2.5 million a pop from elders for tree planting events, leading to several occasions of this kind planned being cancelled. But as Nationals leader David Littleproud observed, federal Labor still has on the table its own rollout of a national framework for cultural heritage protection. He said, Labor must now explain how the federal reforms will work and rule out forcing property owners to undergo expensive, mandatory cultural surveys and undermining private property rights. He's right. Those on the yes side of the referendum campaign have welcomed this change because it was increasing racial tensions in Western Australia and was seen as unhelpful for their drive to change the Constitution to insert an Indigenous voice to Parliament. The truth, though, is that this saga proves the Coalition's position on the voice has been right all along. When the Parliament tried something out and it didn't work, they were able to change course to try and fix it and take a better path. That's not something that will be available if we choose to change the Constitution. With the requirement for another referendum to be held and a majority of people in a majority of states to either remove or amend some words once they're in, we are effectively stuck with this change if Australians decide to back it now. And let's think about it. Why? There's literally no good reason to deny Australians flexibility in the way we go about solving a problem that's proven to be pretty stubborn, especially given that there's been no evidence offered to show voters that this voice proposition will definitely work. If people really believe an Indigenous representation body is needed, it could be legislated this very week. After all, Parliament is going to sit this week. If it would do all of the good things for outcomes for Indigenous Australians that Labor says, why not legislate it tomorrow? They won't. And the fact that they won't tells you everything you need to know. That this actually isn't about better outcomes. It's a power grab designed to permanently and fundamentally change the nature of our democracy so that it rests on group grievance and identity and not on the transformative power of individual effort. It's about locking in the flow of dollars to an industry. I guess the $30 billion spent on Indigenous Australians each year, well, it is a lot, and avoiding accountability about the quality and effectiveness of that spend would be pretty motivating. There's so many reasons to reject this proposal. A no vote preserves the idea that all Australians should have equal rights in our democracy. It also prevents the insertion of a constitutional barrier to driving accountability for outcomes from those who receive taxpayer dollars. And ultimately, that means Aboriginal Australians have to continue to suffer the fruits of the underperformance of those people who administer that $30 billion. Whether it's looked at from the perspective of equality or from the perspective of quality service delivery for those who need it most, the voice isn't worthy of Australian support.